In Parshas Nitzavim, Parak Lamed, which is chapter 30, the Parsha speaks about how after history will happen to the Jewish people, the good, the bad, and the ugly, eventually, V'shavta ad Hashem aleikecha, we're going to return to Hashem from within our exile, V'shamata b'koilei, we're going to listen to Him, and then the pasuk says, once we do teshuvah, once we return to God, then we will be redeemed. And as the pasuk says, V'shav Hashem aleikecha eshvoscha, and Hashem will return your captives, v'yichamecha, and He will have mercy on you. V'shav v'kibetzcha mikol amim, He will gather you from all the exiles, from all the different countries that Hashem has spread you during exile. This is a reference to kibbutz golius, which is when the Jews will be recollected from the different nations and come be in Eretz Yisrael all together with the coming of Mashiach. On this pasuk, there's a Rashi, who's the famed classic commentator on Torah. Let's read through this Rashi, and I'm going to share some interesting insights and some inspiring lessons that the Rebbe learns from this Rashi. Rashi says like this: V'shav Hashem aleikecha eshvuscha. Hashem will return your captives. It should have said v'heshiv eshvuscha. He will return your captives. That's how it should have said it grammatically in Hebrew. Instead it says V'shav Hashem aleikecha eshvuscha, which means Hashem will return like as if He Himself is returning with your captives. What's that supposed to mean? Rabbi Seinu lamdu mikan kaviyachol shashchina shruya im Yisrael b'tzaras galusam. Our rabbis learned from here that Hashem is literally with us in our galus. So when we return from galus and enter a state of expansiveness and redemption, then Hashem also returns to that state as well. And when we get redeemed, then Hashem signed off geula and redemption for Himself as well. That's the first explanation of Rashi. Rashi brings a second explanation about why the Torah says that Hashem won't take us and return us to the Holy Land and to the state of redemption, but V'shav, Hashem is returning with us. Second explanation is a second explanation. Shegadol yem kibbutz golios of Akashi. It's going to be so great that time of kibbutz golios, taking in of the exiles, and it's going to be so complicated. Ki ilu hu atzmai tzarich liyos eiches biyadav mamish ish mim kaimai. That this is not going to be a job that Hashem can delegate. This is something that Hashem is literally going to need to go to each Jew individually, take them by the hand, so to say, and to bring them together to the Holy Land. Kinyan shenemar, as it says, "Va'atem tuluktu la'achad achad b'bnei Yisrael," that every Jew individually is going to be redeemed and is going to be brought back with the coming of Mashiach. These are generally speaking, the two explanations of Rashi. Now, on the first explanation of Rashi, that it says Hashem will return from Galus with us because Hashem is with us in Galus. The Rebbe asks, why did we say Rabbi Seinu lamdu mikan? Our rabbis learned from here that Hashem is with us in our galus, in our pain, and in our confinement and exile. Didn't we have this earlier? You remember the story of the burning bush? By the burning bush, Hashem revealed Himself to Moses in the burning bush to show that when the Jews are in pain, He's in pain as well. He's with us in our pain. In fact, we know from the famous pasuk in Psalms, in Tehillim, Chapter 91, I am with you in your pain. So what does it mean, Rabbi Seinu lamdu mikan, that our rabbis learned from here that Hashem is with us in our pain, if we already know that from before? And the answer and the profound perspective is like this. There's two ways, or maybe even three ways, of Hashem being with a Jew in his pain. One way is that Hashem is outside our pain, we're stuck, or someone in life could be stuck in a certain scenario. Or in pain in a certain scenario. But they could find comfort in knowing that Hashem is above, is greater than them, is not stuck in the situation, and is watching them, b'hashgacha pratis, with divine providence, and helping them through the situation from the outside. We're so small and we feel that we're dealing with such overwhelming problems, but instead of telling God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big your God is. Hashem is bigger than our problems, He's above our problems, and therefore He could help us from the outside. That's one perspective. Hashem is with us in our issues and our difficulties, but from above and from beyond our difficulties, which helps us out. The second way of Hashem being with anyone in their difficulties is, like the verse said, when we feel pain, Hashem feels pain, because Hashem loves us, and it hurts to see someone that you love in pain. However, that's not what this pasuk is teaching. Rabbi Seinu lamdu mikan, what our rabbis learned from this pasuk is something much more unique than that. Hashem doesn't just feel pain when we feel pain. But the pasuk says, "V'shav Hashem aleikecha." Hashem will return from galus. That seems to say that literally Hashem is with us in our exile, as if Hashem is stuck. We are stuck in exile. We feel pain from being stuck in the confines of exile, and Hashem feels that same pain. Otherwise, the pasuk couldn't have said that Hashem will return from exile. It could only say Hashem will return from exile if, so to say, Hashem is stuck in exile. Because not only does Hashem feel our pain from a distance, but whatever experience we're going through, Hashem literally puts himself and is so interconnected with us, he's going through that exact same experience. Of course, he's not stuck, he's infinite. But because of his connection to the Jewish people, he was with us in our experience from our experience. This in psychology, in modern day jargon, is known as the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy means feeling someone else's pain, but from your perspective. Feeling bad or feeling rachmanus, compassion for what someone else is going through. But empathy is much deeper. Empathy means not only you feel compassion for what someone else is going through, but almost going through the experience as they are going through it. Feeling their pain, putting yourself in their shoes and being so interconnected with someone that whatever they're experiencing, you are with them in that experience. And this is a very, very profound interconnectivity that Hashem has with the Jewish people, that when we're stuck in something, of course he's above that issue and is able to help us from the outside. But we also need to know that we're not alone. And whatever we're going through, Hashem is experiencing that same thing with us. Not only is he feeling the pain from a distance, but he's feeling the same pain that we're experiencing in the moment. And this is very redemptive for people to realize, because oftentimes, when someone goes through hard times, when someone goes through painful times, pain is only part of the pain. Sometimes pain doesn't hurt so much. For example, if someone's working out, if someone has to do a medical, something productive, it's painful, but it's painful and it's productive. Pain doesn't equal suffering. Pain is usually the immediate chemical response, but suffering is either the story we tell ourselves, or sometimes the loneliness in the pain is what makes us suffer. Not only did I go through something profoundly painful, but no one understands me. I feel like I'm in a bubble now, isolated from everyone else. Why me? Why not everyone else? And just that the pain that makes me feel so detached from everyone, makes me feel in my own world that no one can understand me anymore, understand me anymore. This is sometimes the crippling maskana, crippling bottom line that makes someone suffer so much when they're in a painful scenario. That's what part of why the statement goes: misery loves company. It's said in a foreboding way or in a morbid way, but it's a true thing. If someone goes through tragedy, sometimes the only people that could console those that have gone through tragedy are those that have been through a similar tragedy. Sometimes those that have been through traumatizing experiences, they find meaning in the traumatizing experiences when they could share their experiences to someone else that just went through it and say you're not alone. Because the loneliness is sometimes what cripples people much more than the original chemical pain. And this is a very powerful perspective we could learn from this week's Parsha, that Hashem doesn't only sympathize with the Jewish people, but Hashem is interconnected with us and he empathizes with the Jewish people as well. And when we go through something, no matter if it comes from something big, something small, when we are suffering, Hashem is experiencing that suffering with us, together with us. And therefore, the pain we can't extricate ourselves from. That's a automatic human experience. But the loneliness we never need to feel. Because Hashem is with us in that pain, and Hashem is with us in every experience we're going through, and we are never alone. That's perspective number one, meditation number one, from this first explanation of Rashi. The other beautiful lesson that the Rebbe learns from this Rashi is the fact that there's two explanations. Explanation number one was how Hashem is with the Jewish people collectively in their exile. And Hashem, when He takes us out of exile, He joins us, referring to the Jewish people collectively. The second explanation of Rashi is that Hashem takes each individual Jew hand by hand and takes him towards redemption. What do we learn from this, says the Rebbe? If we want to redeem ourselves, if we want to give ourselves, light our lives up with Judaism, and redeem ourselves, take ourselves out of our shackles, out of our bondages, and live up to our full potential as individuals, we have to realize that could only happen if I get the collective involved as well. I can't redeem myself if there's another Jew that's stuck in exile, that's stuck in Golos. Redemption for a Jew means that I need to feel the responsibility. I can only live wholesome if my people, who I'm interconnected with as well, are living wholesome too. And before reaching our inner, yes, we have to work on ourselves and we can't fix the world. We have to fix ourselves and then the world could fall into place. But at least in urgency perhaps, or I need to realize that my fate is not separated from the rest of the fate of the world or the Jewish people, my brothers and sisters. that I'm interconnected with, that I share a collective achdus with. And that before I could fully experience my redemption, maybe I should start my redemption process early and work on myself. But before I could fully experience my redemption, personal redemption is only a explanation number 2 to the collective redemption of answer number 1. And the ultimate urgency that we need to feel is that I can't live a perfect life until the world has been perfected. We are interconnected with the world around us, and before we get to the Geula Pratis of explanation number 2 of Rashi, we have to first bring a Geula Klalis of explanation number 1. For me to be lit up on my Judaism, I need to make sure that everyone else, and feel that everyone else has been elevated as well. Because for me to be ultimately elevated, it has to be with everyone else's elevation too. As we're entering the high holidays, there's a beautiful heartwarming story of the Alter Rebbe, that he was in the middle of Kol Nidre, Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year, with the beginning prayers, the very special and unique prayer of Kol Nidre. And in the middle, the Alter Rebbe stopped, he took off his talis and put it away, and he left shul. And everyone wondered where he went. And what they found out was the Alter Rebbe stopped prayers on Yom Kippur to go to help a woman who just gave birth, and her husband wasn't in shul. He wasn't around, and she was in the corner of town. No one was there to help her. He went to go light a fire, which you're not allowed to do on the holidays, cook some soup, and make sure that she is fed, because she was in she medically needed it. And obviously you could do the malachas, you could do forbidden labor on Shabbos and Yom Tov if it's for saving a life, and if it's for someone that is sick and needs it for their basic health, to take them out of sakana, out of danger. Yet the Alter Rebbe could have sent someone else. Why did he have to go himself? He's the rabbi and the Rebbe in town. Yeah, over here again we see the interconnectivity, not only of the Jews and Hashem, that Hashem is with us in our experiences, but how we are all interconnected with ourselves as well. And before I could experience my own Yom Kippur, if my Kol Nidre doesn't allow me to go take care of another Jew that needs me desperately, then I have not yet experienced Kol Nidre. And this is the profound lesson of again, these are easy words to say and heartwarming stories to hear, much harder to live, but this is the perspective that we could have from one of the Psukim and one of the Rashis on this week's Parsha. And everyone should have a great week. And we should all be inscribed and sealed for a good year, an amazing year full of open and revealed good news. Have a great Shabbos.